Anime. One of the mediums in which has always spoken to me. I'll never forget when I first laid eyes, to be honest, actually on Pokemon at a young age. And from there, it was pretty much a gateway into a long, amazing history with animation and Japanese culture. But why do I love anime? Well, me personally, I've always loved anime due to its great fantastical stories, great nuance of characters, and always it goes in depth and makes you think a lot. There's quite a few animes over time that realistically has left a big impression on me, and I thought, what better way is than to share with you guys my personal top 10 animes of all time that you really need to see before you die. So that's what we're going to do, guys. We're actually going to go in depth and actually discuss a little bit more than normal about my favorite animes of all time. So let's go on the journey of my top 10 anime that you need to see before you die. And actually, at number 10 is actually my dress-up darling, believe it or not. I know of all the things I could have chosen, there was quite a few that I was balancing in my top, that number 10, because there's quite a few of, like, honorable mentions. And I'll probably cover those towards the end of the video, but at the end of the day, my dress-up darling, for me, is one of those I can just sit down and put on a few episodes and realistically have a smile on my face. And it's a very simple anime about a girl who meets a guy. One's an anime fan and one's a recluse. And I think there's been many anime like this in the past, but for whatever reason, if it's the art design, the characters, the simplistic yet very uplifting story in this that really gets to me, and I love the art design. I think is definitely part of it, guys. But if you haven't seen this one, definitely give it a watch. I think it's just a good time, and by the end of the series, at least so far in season 1, you'll be left with a smile on your face. So with that being said, number 10, my dress-up darling. At number 9, actually, is Hab Ren. Now, this is an anime that many of you may not have ever heard of. It's from the creator of Serial Experiments Lain, which we might get into that one later on in the video. And it basically deals in the story of a girl who wakes up in a world where she has angel wings with no memories. And all the other characters also have no memories. And they, over time, either get angel wings or and halos on their heads. And it's basically a story. I don't want to go too far into it because I really don't want to give you spoilers, but it's a story about self-discovery and about accepting loss and basically accepting who you are. If you're looking for a lot more serious anime, there's not really much comedy in this at all, but it's a very uplifting, hopeful tale. This is one for you guys. Again, this is not one very much known by the general public, especially those in the modern era, and this is no slap against modern anime, as I, again, just got through saying my dress-up darling's number 10. But if you're looking for an introspective anime that will leave you actually also feeling good, it's definitely worth giving a watch. It's only about 13-14 episodes, won't take you long, and it's definitely one not to miss out on. So go ahead and check it out. It may be available on streaming, I'm not too sure, but it probably should be. But again, definitely look into this one, guys. You won't regret it. At number 8, I actually have Attack on Titan. Now, this is definitely one you guys will be familiar with. What more is there to say about Attack on Titan? It just recently ended and concluded in that big, awesome finale. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check out the finale. But generally speaking, it's a very dark series. There's not a lot of comedy in this one either, but it's also very violent. If you scream away from violence, you may not appreciate this one. There's a lot of twists and turns in this, guys. The art was absolutely amazing for the time when it released. I was blown away, also, of course, by the theme song. We all know that one. I would play it on here, but I would probably get a copyright strike, so can't. But definitely one of the more modern masterpieces of this era. Definitely one that I personally appreciate. I know some people got aggravated about the midway through the series, but then I think that stuck the landing at the end of the series. So with that all being in mind, definitely one, if you haven't already seen it, definitely check it out. But either way, I think most of you probably have already seen it, but either way, it was going on to my top 10, so here it is. Number 7, I actually have Full Metal Panic. For you guys that don't know, this is a... Man, it's hard to describe Full Metal Panic, isn't it? Because one could call it a mech anime, which it definitely is, but it was also a comedy. Well, certain parts it was a comedy. For a little more background, this series started in the early 2000s, and as of recently, about 3 or 4 years ago, the newest season finally came out, and we're still on a cliffhanger, so we're going to see if this series finishes before I'm dead. One can hope. But it's a series that also have had many changes over the years. It started out as a high school rom-com / mech anime, which I really loved at the time. Went to a full-blown comedy, and then it went to mostly drama to completely dark as hell in the newest season. So it has went a lot of different ways. I've loved the story. I love the characters. Best way I can describe it's like a half military mech anime, and the other half is a rom-com, fish out of water type story. If you're looking for, in my opinion, a fantastic story that not a lot of people talk about nowadays, it's definitely one to look into. Even the oldest one, the animation still holds up, and in the modern one, it's pretty modern animation. So definitely look into this one, guys. I don't think you will be disappointed by any stretch of the imagination. I know that it's been one that's stuck with me for almost 20 years, so that says something. So if you get a chance, go out and watch it. You won't regret it. At number 6, I actually have Paranoia Agent. It's another anime that came out in the early 2000s. If you can't tell, a lot of the early 2000s anime definitely shaped my taste. This series is very, very dark, very bleak, and it deals with a lot of material that might be hard for some people for sensitive topics that I can't really discuss on YouTube. But it's a deep dive into human psyche about escapism, using things as a way to run from reality. It heavily critiques the anime community, actually, in this. It critiques using cute characters or using scapegoats to escape pain in reality, whereas you need to face reality. You need to deal with your issues head on. You can't run from your problems forever. It's about accepting who you are and where you are in life, and not wishing for something to magically take you away or fix your problems just because you hope for it to be solved. The only way to solve it is to accept it and find a better way in life. And I think that was the director's kind of critique on the anime community in Japan, and for Japan as a whole, from what I understand. It's about the need to always be perfect, but not the need to accept who they are, because I knew that was pretty much where he stated things. He wanted people to see that you need to live a better life and not use anime or comic books or movies as a way to escape your reality. And something about it just hits so hard. And also, at its simplest, it is a murder mystery, almost whodunit type thing. Why is things happening? And the plot keeps getting more and more evolved. The characters are pretty nuanced in this, and it definitely takes a deep dive, and you can see where the creator was coming from on this. So this is definitely one to look into, especially if you're looking for an introspective anime that will make you think. So for all those reasons, it Speaking of introspective, that leads me to number 5, which is actually Serial Experiments Lain. Another very dark anime that deals with also kind of with escapism, except in this case, it's with the internet. This anime was actually far ahead of its time, released in the very late 90s or very early 2000s, and it was warning society about using the internet as a form of escape, or also using the internet as anonymity to get away with saying things that you otherwise wouldn't say in real life. And there's something very ominous about this anime that kind of warned about the future we were heading into, and then its predictions pretty much came true. It also deals, again, with escapism, something that Paranoia Agent dealt with, and so does Serial Experiments Lain. It deals with religion in some ways, too, that I don't really want to get into because of the story. It might spoil some stuff. It's also, at the heart of it, is a mystery as well, but a different kind of mystery, and I can't say too much without giving some things away, but it's about a girl named Lane who gets fascinated with the internet and parts of the internet, again, that I don't want to talk about, but it's definitely one that's in the darker side of things. It's definitely not another one that, if you can't handle stuff that involves some really dark subject matter, you might want to shy away from it. But again, just like Paranoia Agent, if you're looking for an introspective anime to make you really think about life and some beautiful art and storytelling, it's definitely not one to miss. And on a side note, that intro slaps. If you guys have heard it, it's pretty popular on TikTok right now. It's gotten a lot of cred again, but the intro in Lane is amazing. So if you haven't, at least go check the opening out on YouTube if you can. It should be on there, but for all those reasons, it's number 5, guys. At number 4, I actually have Cowboy Bebop. What kind of 2000s anime boomer would I be without having Cowboy Bebop on a top 10 list? This anime I remember so vividly on Adult Swim when it first aired, and it just blew me away from the opening theme of Tank to just the art style from Watanabe to the amazing story that they crafted in this. And it starts out like this is one of those animes you can watch like random episodes of and still take a lot of enjoyment from, outside of a few that are part of a grander like storyline. But I mean, it's essentially the basic story of a bounty hunter and a group of misfits out on adventures, but there's a lot more to it than that. And some of the voice acting in this from the English voice cast is absolutely stellar. Highly recommend the dub on this one. I can't say good enough stuff about Cowboy Bebop, and I'm pretty sure it makes most top 10 anime lists, and much like most people, it's definitely going to be on mine as well. If you haven't already seen it, which I'm assuming you have, but if you haven't, do yourself a favor. It's like 24 episodes. Go out and check it out. It's all over streaming. Don't miss this one. Oh boy, at number 3, I have Mobile Suit Gundam. And that's pretty much the whole franchise, not just one particular series. Although there are standout series for me in the entire Mobile Suit Gundam story. The UC timeline definitely is my favorite. But that's a long investment, guys. Mobile Suit Gundam has been around since 1979 and is still concurrently running today. There's a multitude of series spanning all the way from the original Mobile Suit Gundam from 1979 all the way to side stories that you don't have to know anything about any of the other series to watch, like Gundam Wing, which was a massive entry point for many fans in the US in the late 90s, early 2000s, to like G Gundam, which is another one that from the early days, to Gundam Seed, which was big in the 2000s, to just of recently, actually, Mobile Suit Gundam The Witch of Mercury, which if you've not seen that one, you do not have to see any of the other Mobile Suit Gundams, and it is a fantastic anime. I will say that. The animation is beautiful. I love the story in this one. The girl, it's basically like a story of a girl, and all these are the same kind of story of a character, a pilot, finds their way into a mobile suit and has to deal with the horrors of war. And that's the thing with Gundam. It's very anti-war, and it's very serious about that. It shows you the implications of war. One of the most fantastic series that I can think of about that was 0080, which shows that there's no real winners in war, and there's only losers, and only pretty much everyone suffers. And there's something about Gundam that I love, and not just the awesome mechs, which they are amazing in it. The fight scenes are awesome. I love the Gundam model kits, as you've seen in some of my videos. I have them behind me in my cases. I've just been a big Gundam fan since I was like 14, guys. Like, Mobile Suit Gundam has always had a special place in my heart. And yes, Amuro Ray and the UC timeline will always be one of my favorites, although I do love Unicorn. Like I said, 0083, the 8th MS team, those mean a lot to me. And again, The Witch of Mercury, if you haven't seen that one, it is fantastic, guys. And again, you don't have to watch any of the other ones to see that one, so definitely recommend you go and check that one out at Nothing Else. And if you want to explore the entire timeline, you can definitely do that as well. Start with the original Mobile Suit Gundam, although the animation is from 1979, so that might be hard for some viewers. But if you can get past the old animation, you will enjoy the story on that one as well. I know this part has ran a lot longer, but there's so many series in this, and it does mean a lot to me, so that's why I wanted to take a little more time and truly discuss it. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it before you die to check out Mobile Suit Gundam. At number 2, and this was close for me, but Trigun, guys. Oh, I love Trigun. It is from the original series to the actual modern series of Gun Stampede, which actually I think aired like 2 years ago. Love Vash the Stampede as a character. I always have. I've identified a lot with that character. I have cosplayed that character many times. The story of a man who just wants to be a good person in a world that doesn't want to let him be a good person. And it's a tragic story. The original series is very different than the new series, and that turned a lot of people off. But for me, I understand both points of view on that series. The original series started off very lighthearted and gradually, in many ways, destroyed the main character. You watched him as the time went on, as the character progressively got more and more sad, more and more depressed, and you watched around him as the story got darker and darker. But in the end, you see a character that refuses to let the darkness turn him from what he wants to be, and he, in the end, I don't want to spoil anything, but he remains true to his word, and I just, something about that always resonated so well with me, and that's why Vash the Stampede was just one of my favorite characters of all time. In the new series, it's a lot darker and a lot more somber and serious, but the original Vash still bleeds through even in this. The animation is absolutely amazing in Gun Stampede. The art, the story in that is very good and a lot more faithful to the manga, which is awesome, and getting two different stories at the same time is just fantastic, guys. Like, you can watch either one in either order, although I do recommend you watch the original Trigun first, as there are some Easter eggs in Stampede and nods to the original, so you might see some things that would be more appreciated if you watch the original first. So definitely recommend Trigun without question, and it's another series I also recommend in dub, because the original voice actor Johnny Bosch nailed it, and he came back for Stampede as well, so definitely love the dub on that one. I know there's a lot of people who love the subs, don't get me wrong, I watch a lot of sub stuff too, but for Trigun, I will always be a dub guy. And for all those reasons, Trigun is definitely at the number 2 spot. At number 1, it's probably no surprise to anyone if they know me from this channel, it's Neon Genesis Evangelion. Oh, this has been my favorite anime since I accidentally downloaded the end of Evangelion on a torrent site, thinking to myself it was Dragon Ball Z, and it blew my mind from that point. The story in Evangelion is so nuanced, so unique. It influenced an entire generation of anime, and it pretty much changed the culture of anime after its airing in Japan. It is a cultural phenomenon even to this day in Japan. You will not go anywhere without seeing Evangelion merchandise, art on buildings, and the lasting story and characters will always stand the test of time. Hideaki Anno and his story touched many people and changed many people's lives, including myself. The story is a story of a boy running from his problems and dealing with depression, something that I even dealt with for a long time, and it helped me through a lot of like hard times growing up. And Evangelion, I don't want to say too much about it. At its surface, it looks like it's a mech anime, but it's so much more than that for those that know. They have 4 movies that came out afterward called the Rebuild series, and in many ways it's still a continuation to the original television series. If you know, you know. Definitely recommend watching those as well after you watch the original TV series and the original movie. You need to watch all of them, in my opinion, because the final movie is a final goodbye to all of Evangelion, and I have met very few people, even people who don't like mech anime, who haven't said they've loved Evangelion, and it has left them with a lasting impression. So for all those reasons, Evangelion is definitely my favorite anime of all time. Highly recommend it to anyone, and I can't say enough good things about it, guys. It is absolutely my favorite. And that's my top 10 anime of all time that you need to see before you die, guys. These are all some of the ones that have made huge impressions on me. Of course, there is tons of other anime out there that I love. There's tons of series that I almost put on the slot. I mean, who cannot put Dragon Ball or Naruto or Jujutsu Kaisen or many, many, many other animes that almost made my list. There are countless out there. There's probably countless more that I haven't seen. I'm always watching new stuff, but I can't list everything, and these are the ones that have left a lot with me over the years. And let me know in the comments down below, guys. Let me know if there's anime that I need to check out. I will always appreciate that. I love checking out new stuff. If you like this content, actually, let me know. It's a little experimental video, but I did want to get this one out. Don't worry, the usual stuff is coming, so you ain't got to worry about that. But for this video, it's a little different, so I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to continue to grow the channel. That's always appreciated. And as always, stay savage.